and the Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw. It was such a whirlwind when it came to the trailers. I didn't know what to kind of expect, but at the same time, you kind of knew where The Rock, the Dwayne Johnson, has come from, like as far as comedy and action goes. So you can maybe have like a little inkling, and then going into this, I was like blown away a little bit. I was like, man, you know, this is really, really, really entertaining. I really liked when he was in Fast 5, when he came into the Fast and the Furious franchise. So it's kind of awesome that they were able to kind of branch out and do something that's associated with it, but not really. So it was a lot of fun.
The trailers definitely gave us a lot of cool little glimpses at certain moments within the movie, but for once, the trailer, which was really long and I thought was going to end up giving us the entire movie, didn't really give us the entire movie because there were so many more aspects of scenes left out of the trailers that when we saw it, I'm like, oh yes, I know that moment, the joking around, oh, is that your room, that my room, beating up the guys. But there's so much more to that to where it's like, all right, you showed me that, but yet didn't give me any idea what else was going to happen there. So I appreciated that while watching the movie.
Right, and I also would love to say, like, the way that this was shot too, I really liked it. I thought that, like, the camera angles, the way that they did the slow motions, of course you have, like, in an action movie you have the slow motion parts, and a lot of times those slow motion parts are like, okay, you didn't really need it. I get that you wanted to put it in there to make it a little bit more dramatic,
right,
in that sense, but when they did do it in here, granted, yes, they made it a little bit more dramatic, but I thought that it worked and played very well in this movie. And I thought that Jason Statham, Dwayne Johnson, and Vanessa Kirby, all three of them together doing this was fantastic. I think that the relationship that they had with each other worked very well with their characters.
Love Vanessa Kirby as an addition to this storyline, yes, or at least this franchise. She's amazing when it comes to this movie. Everyone's amazing in this movie. And yeah, when it comes to impact, yes, those certain camera shots, there's split screen going on, and that ends up giving you a style and impact to these scenes that you typically wouldn't have in an action movie like this. You wouldn't get this in Mission Impossible.
Right.
But the fact that David Leitch, who has gone from John Wick to Deadpool 2 to Atomic Blonde, you end up getting a lot of his style carrying over, and not just style, it is his movie. You can tell it is his movie, and I love it. I love that all these directors who come in, whether it's the Fast and the Furious franchise or it's now the spin-offs, that they are bringing their style to the story, but still are playing within the sandbox that the Fast and the Furious has built. Because one thing in this movie, they have mastered their craft when it comes to, we're making a Fast and Furious movie. They figured out how to make a Fast and Furious movie, but not being Fast and Furious. Like, that feels like those movies. This feels like a whole different entity in the world that is the Fast and the Furious.
I will say, in turn of it feeling like a David Leitch movie too, it also kind of was maybe a little too much too, because at certain points in the movie I was like, this feels like Deadpool too, or this feels a little bit more like John Wick in some senses, where you kind of want it to feel like its own movie.
Sure.
And I feel like there are certain parts in the movie that it did kind of go over the top when it came to the dialogue. The dialogue, almost to like a level of spoof almost.
Yeah.
Where you're like, okay, I get it, but I really didn't need that there. And maybe if they toned it down a little bit more, they kind of, what you want, like I would love like the balance. There needs to be balance. There always needs to be balance. And if you kind of swayed a little bit too much in one direction, then you kind of lose me in some of those scenes. And but then it brings it right back, which I love too.
And it's funny because we're not talking about the over the top of the action sequences. I love those. I thought those were great. They were crazy. I'm giggling, I'm laughing the whole time, saying, oh my God, really? Like, this is awesome the whole time. But it's the dialogue and the comedy aspect of things that it's like, we're going to do the jokes and we're going to improv, but we're going to leave it all in. It's like watching the Sex Drive unrated version where they just leave in all the alternate dialogue in there. It's great. You love it. But it's in the main movie here, so it's like, okay, I'm kind of falling out of the movie because this is going on so long for the comedic aspect of the dialogue. Right. With that being said, though, there are characters in this movie within those dialogue moments that I love. To me, bringing characters into this movie that they do in this one to the franchise, I can't wait for watching the sequel, because I'm hoping these guys will end up showing up in the storyline, and we have sequel upon sequel built in this world of this Fast and Furious portion of Hobbs and Shaw.
I will say that if you're going into this movie hoping for it to feel a little bit more like the Fast and the Furious movies, you might be a little bit disappointed, because it definitely takes it in a different direction and a different tone for this movie, which I really liked. It kind of just doesn't feel the same in this one than it does with the other ones. I feel like they're a little bit more serious toward, I mean, granted, they are getting a little bit more grander when it comes to the Fast and the Furious movies in the later movies, which, like you said, they are honing that craft and being a Fast and the Furious movie. But I also think that there could be times where people are like, oh, well, this doesn't feel like it, which at the same time, I think that that was what they wanted to do.
Yeah,
they wanted to be in the movie, but also not be a part of the Fast
There
and
are
Furious.
Fast and Furious moments for sure, but
Yeah.
they are far and few between when it comes to this movie, which I love them for. When it comes down to it, Tyler Bates is always rolling with David Leitch now, so seeing Tyler Bates, or at least listening to Tyler Bates, do the music in certain portions, that also amplifies the action. But for me, I'm not a huge Fast and the Furious fan, but I'm a huge rock fan. I definitely was there in theaters to watch Fast 5 because of the integration of The Rock, so this is just right up my alley when it comes to the fun I had. Watch it if you can with a full theater. Our theater was basically empty, which kind of broke my heart.
It did. It almost to the point where there are certain things that happen in this movie that I felt like if we had like an enthusiastic crowd, it would have given us like that feel that we had when we had a huge crowd for Jurassic World.
Yeah.
Definitely go see it. And I think that Idris Elba did a phenomenal job playing this character that he plays, like, so good. Like,
amazing.
It's just very suave, of course, just like Idris Elba is, but then he also has like that vulnerability to him too.
There is levels to his character, which
Right.
you wouldn't think in a Fast and Furious movie, or at least when it comes to the bad guy, but they are putting more effort into this character, at least when it comes to the bad guy. And I love how he played it, and he got to have fun, and you could see that on screen that he was having fun. But Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw. If you guys saw it, what did you think? Let us know down in the comments below. If you are holding out, I recommend go check it out. It's definitely right up there for action movies.
And if you do check it out, make sure you stay all the way to the end of the
very
credits.
end of the credits. All the way. There's stuff in the mid.
There's stuff in the middle.
I think there's stuff after the mid, and then there's stuff at the very end too. So I would say for me, I would end up giving it, because I had so much fun watching it, and they really went for it, I would say 4.5 out of 5 for action comedy. Now granted, this putting it in their craft, in their shell of their style of movie. In their style of movie, they killed it. When it comes to the grand scheme of movies, it's a little less. But when it comes to what they have done in this world of action, buddy cop comedy type movies, I loved it. I really enjoyed the hell out of it. So 4.5.
See, I would give it a 4.5 out of 5 too, because there are certain things where it's like, okay, you could have gone a little bit different with it. You could have maybe tightened the story a little bit more when it came to the characters and stuff and the scenes that they were doing. But other than that, I mean, I had a lot of fun. We had a guy that was kind of like a couple rows in front of us, and he was getting into it. He was like swaying, jumping. So that's what you really like. And I was watching him too, I was like, enjoying the fact that he was enjoying the movie so much. So in that case, like, you know what, that's what you want. You want to go to the movies to be entertained.
That's for sure. So thank you guys. You can like and subscribe.
And do the thing on our Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, Stardust.
All the social networking gin joints, you know where they are. Kicking the party, fuel the party, keep the party going on our Patreon. Gets us where we need to go. Hit up the Schmoedown live page. You can do that down in the description of this video. Get your tickets for the match we are in September 14th in Tempe, Arizona at the Tempe Improv. Or you can get tickets to the live stream. Watch it all go down without having to be there down in the description of this video. So thank you guys so much. And as always,
No, it's time to say goodbye.
this party is over. Bye.
Bye.